I should probably update the dashboard as well. I always forget to do that before the episodes. Dashboard,
Yeah.
episode 57. There we go. Bam. Boom, booyah, whatever. Okay, we're live. So.
Epic.
How you doing?
Oh, I'm doing amazing.
Should I close my window before we start the episode officially?
I mean, you could.
I feel like I should, but like the cross breeze that I'm getting right now is very nice.
Okay, then keep it open.
All right.
Great.
Good conversation. I'm glad.
And that ladies will be the end of the episode.
Oh, yeah, the pre-show is the episode.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's kind of like that one recording we did where it was like, hey, how's it going, everybody? My name's Corey. And I'm like, hey, I'm busy. And you're like, ha, yes, you are. Goodbye.
Yeah, you are. I remember that. I'm going to adjust the volume a little bit so you can get a more fun visualizer. Oh, it's like going up half the screen now. Oh no. Oh no. Jake?
Hello.
Audio balance stuff is not my strong suit. Can they hear the music? Let's see. I want to make sure. Let's see. Oh, they can, but it's super faint? Okay. What is wrong with me?
Super faint.
Super hot.
Don't.
Don't? What do you mean don't?
Don't do that.
Don't do it. We aren't paid enough or at all.
Yeah, we don't get paid. That's the problem.
That's the problem. We need sponsors. Get John Oliver.
That's the problem, Jerry.
Jeez. Oh my goodness. Alright. Honestly, I'm cool starting the episode right now. I know we're going to be like...
That's pretty much literally what I've been saying.
Oh. Well, I'm fading out the music now. Alright. To the black screen. Recording?
Yeah,
You ready for this clap sync?
yeah,
Alright.
totally ready.
3, 2, 1. Hi, everyone. Welcome to this week's episode of the Pixel Venture Podcast. I'm Corey.
And I'm here.
Good intro.
Uh-huh.
So what have you been up to this week?
Oh, wouldn't you like to know?
Yes, actually.
Well, thank you for being caring.
Exactly, man. I'm here for you.
What have I done? Editing. I've been editing some video stuff.
Oh yeah, it's your finals, right?
No.
Oh.
No. I finished finals before, like, everyone else did.
Oh yeah.
These are, like, student production things.
What
Like,
kind of
free time stuff where I get to edit videos and projects and TV shows and short films that are only half done because we had to pause production because of coronavirus kind of putting a little wrench into everything. And then they're like, hey, like, because we need to advertise for, like, new hires next semester, we also need you to make, like, promos and stuff for people to be like, hey, I want to finish up this project other people have been working on for, like, an entire semester in the summer. Like, let's make some promo trailer teasers thingies. Yeah, you go do that because you have nothing else to do, like, these days because it's coronavirus days.
Damn.
Yeah.
Well, hey,
That's been my life.
at the very least, you got something going on, right?
I mean, yeah.
Because it's like, I feel like the big thing when it comes to the virus and the thing that kind of like hurts the most, like when it comes to just the way life is that it's very easy for people to get like burnt out and bored.
Yeah.
And I mean, I guess that's one of the nice things about still being employed, whether or not the job itself is worth it at the moment, but you know. Also, I don't know why, but the frame rate of the stream right now is very bad. Like, incredibly bad. I need to figure this out. Say intelligent things as I try to fix things on the fly.
Well, I could talk about intelligent things, because I like to think of myself as an intelligent man, when compared to unintelligent things like rocks, or cars, or Republicans.
What? What was that? What was that little detail? Okay, apply.
That was a joke that sensitive people would get offended by if they're Republican and contemplating stupidity.
Jeez.
I don't really know what intelligent conversation is. I just have conversations that I enjoy, whether or not they're technically intelligent. Cause intelligence is subjective.
Yeah. I was going to say.
I'm stuck.
Yeah. I was going to say with your with the comment about intelligence and everything, it's like, look at half the conversations we have where it's just going, no, like that. That's not intelligent.
Hey Corey, tag.
God, I realized how much I missed playing PlanetSide 2 last night when we jumped on.
Yeah.
Like, I legitimately enjoy the game. I'm horrible at it, but it's fun. I think I just need to rebind a lot of the keys and like fix the sensitivity stuff. Because like, I don't know why middle mouse melee is like the worst thing to me. Like, I usually have it on mouse 4.
Yeah.
And like, for whatever reason, the flight controls, like the sensitivity is so incredibly low that like if I'm trying to do like complex maneuvers, I just end up tilting to the side and flying into a mountain instead of actually repositioning.
Nice.
So, hello, Nate. Welcome to the stream.
Hello.
Yeah. But anyways.
He said.
Yeah. Copyright. Nate.
It's ours now.
Yeah. He. We have trademark hello in all caps.
Yes, we have.
Oh man, we'll have to put it like a patent or something like that on the shelf. But we had some things that we were actually going to talk about today, but frankly, I forget.
Forget what?
What we were going to talk about. Because remember, I told you what I wanted to last night, and then I just passed out and forgot.
Oh, I remember.
Sweet. Then take over.
Hey, Corey, I have a question for you that you definitely didn't ask me last night in preparing me for what to talk about for this episode.
Eh?
You want to hear it? If you could learn one skill automatically, what would it be?
Pee against the wind. That's not it. Okay, well, first, what are we defining as skills? Like, are we defining, like, you know, learning a language as a skill, or is it like something?
Yeah, that's a skill.
Because I mean, my thing is that I would love to like be able to immediately understand like Japanese or get back to where I was with Spanish.
Yeah.
Like, because I really want to travel like a lot in the future, and I don't want to be restricted by like not knowing the languages of like places I'm going. because like from what I heard, just from friends who have traveled to Japan, going there and not understanding any Japanese is one of the most terrifying things, because you actually feel like incredibly helpless outside of the major cities.
I think that's kind of like most places, though.
Well, yeah, and that's why I'm like I want to try to actively like learn new language.
Yeah.
What about you? what's up with you? What would you like to learn?
Well, with a lot of these kinds of questions, I like to approach them a little bit too logically for how they're meant to be handled. Because usually they're like fun little like casual questions, like, oh, if you were on like a deserted island, like, you know, what would you want with you? And some people are like, oh, I'd want like a CD player, or like
a CD player.
I'd want like a shovel so I can dig in the sand.
Just a CD player, no CDs. just to know that you have that anchor
and then you
to
have the
society.
butthurt people. They're like, I'd want a boat, or like
Jake,
oh,
literally on the first question special, we got that question of like you're stranded on an island, you can have
I know
one
we
thing
did,
for anything.
and I yelled at you for having a bad answer.
Yeah, because I was just like, I want a boat so I can go to other islands to get more resources. And then you're like, I want an axe.
But like a boat is just so uninteresting because it gets rid of the point of the
Nate,
question.
here's the thing though. You'd have the gun, you wouldn't have the bullets necessarily.
The bullets would be implied.
Well, like I imagine where it's just that one thing. Like when someone's just like, oh, if I'm on a deserted island, I want my phone. It's like, cool, you don't have reception.
So with that logic, when you say you want a boat, you don't have gas.
It's a sailboat.
You're gonna sail.
Yes.
You know how to sail.
Yes, actually.
You confidently know how to sail in the middle of the sea without a map.
Well, you just go towards the sun.
Yeah, I'm sure that's gonna be the quickest way to land
Well, no, like,
on another island that you totally know the location of.
well, obviously you'd get materials off the island first, and then you'd hop on that boat.
Oh yeah, materials like a map. Off the island.
Well, you know what I mean.
You just get to the highest point on like the island, and then you can just scan the next like 20 miles in every direction, and have a perfect identical memory of what everything is.
Well, if you know where like the closest like next possible thing is, okay. If it's like you're in the middle of the ocean and like you're completely stranded, you know that like there's no body of land for like hundreds of miles or whatever. Like I'd fucking take my chances on the ocean. I don't care. Because if I die out in the ocean, then that's fine.
Oh, but dying on the island, that's just where your standards are just...
Well,
you can't die on an island.
Where's your fucking sense of adventure? Where you're like, I'm gonna become fucking a hermit.
Yeah, what's the problem with that?
Yeah, no, Nate, that's literally it. You head northeast and eventually you'll hit something.
That's true with any direction you go in.
No.
You go in any direction long enough and you'll hit land.
Yeah, but like just statistically, you look at like the way that like continents and islands are spread throughout the world, like it's more likely to happen if you go northeast. Because if you look at the shapes of like all the different like continents, you are more likely to hit land like that rather than if you went straight west or straight east.
I don't know if that doesn't sound true.
I will pull up a fucking map and get this going.
I know what a map looks like.
Are you sure? Because I don't know right now. I'm gonna put a map on stream, and I think I can draw in OBS. Well, yeah, and that's also assuming though that like you're in that area where it's like, I'm trying to think, where it's like low enough where you wouldn't hit any bodies of land, like major bodies of land. Let's see. Map. Man, Jake.
Yeah.
It's almost like this argument in general is stupid, because when are we ever going to be in this situation?
I think it's stupid because you'd want a boat.
Why is that stupid? That's practical.
It's boring.
Okay, fine. Then I'll have a wood chipper so I can cut down the entirety of the island and make a boat.
Out of wood chips.
Exactly.
You're gonna make a boat out of wood chips.
Lick and stick. You lick them and stick them together.
Uh-huh.
Adhesive.
You know, you can really just speed up the process of not
By
licking
getting
it
a
by
boat.
just putting all of it in the water, and then it just sticks together all by itself.
Yeah. Or you can, expedite the process by getting a fucking boat. Jake.
Yeah, Northeast does not look like the most efficient way, depending on where you are.
Well then, fucking, what would you do? Aside from stay on the island like a dumb little hermit.
Like, tell me if I'm crazy, but if you're in like.
All right, there's a map on screen.
The map.
We're looking.
Calling you right.
We're looking at this. Literally, okay. I'm gonna try to see if there is a way. Okay, wait, color source. Does that let me? No. Cancel that.
So like, okay, like let's say you're in like the Caribbean, right? You're in like an island near like Cuba or like north of like South America, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like if you're going northeast, you're going to the like entire northern half of the Atlantic Ocean to maybe land in Ireland or Iceland. So like technically it would just be more efficient to either go like southwest or even southeast, but like it's completely dependent on like where you are and where the nearest island is or like landmass is, but you don't know where that is because you're just in the middle of nowhere.
Man, it's almost like you can figure shit out while you're on a boat and you don't have to stay on an island.
What do you mean you can just figure things out on a boat?
You look at you look at the night
On a
sky.
boat.
You get a north. Okay, as long as you know where the North Star is, and sun rises and sets and whatnot, you're fine.
Yeah, you just need to know where the sun is, but like going northeast doesn't immediately mean it's the most efficient place to go to land.
Yeah. Oh, Nate brings a good argument. Then he chooses a sextant so he can figure out where he's at because of the stars.
Do you know how to use a sextant?
It's a sextant. I do.
How do you use it?
Literally, okay. Jake.
Do you know the stars well enough to know exactly where you are using one?
Jake, you seem to forget that I was obsessed with space when I was a kid.
I was too, but I didn't pay attention to where the stars are. I paid attention to like how the galaxies were made.
I paid attention to all the constellations and like the actual like way that the sky is formed. Like literally, I was stargazing last night with someone, and it was just like I was just like, oh yeah, Earth's major, Orion's belt. Those are the twin snakes, and then they're just like, whoa, how do you just know that? And it's like, yeah, because I had no friends and a lot of astronomy books.
I didn't have friends either, and I don't know the stars.
Well, then you're just
They didn't want to be
your
my friends.
argument is wrong because it don't add up. It don't add up, sis.
Doesn't add up.
It
What
don't.
doesn't add up?
Your entire argument is faulty. Next topic.
What argument?
Next topic. I'm done with you.
I win by default then.
No.
Anyway, I probably want to learn like cooking because that's a good skill to just know like on a general sense.
On a deserted island.
We're not. You gave up the deserted island argument.
Yeah, because it's not worth arguing over with you because you don't understand.
Oh, I understand.
No, you don't.
I'm just stubborn.
Yes. Very stubborn. We're two very stubborn people.
I never said I wasn't stubborn. I'm proud of my stubbornness. It gets shit done.
um, but yeah, no, dude, cooking is so nice to know. Like even just really simple recipes, like make stir fry, grilled cheese, pasta, and stuff like that.
Like, I know how to make, like, most of that stuff. I just want to know, like, how to either make, like, more, like, complicated stuff, like, fancier stuff, or, like, I, kn- I know, like, the mechanics of grilling, but I wouldn't know how to make, like, a steak medium rare, per se.
I have someone who could teach you, who is
Oh,
incredible when it comes to cooking steak.
So do I. He's called my dad.
Your dad.
But, like, another thing that I feel like gets taken for granted in cooking is being able to look at the ingredients you have and know what you can make and what you can use as, like, a substitute.
Yeah, it's because I know that like a lot of people when they look at like like chicken breast or whatever, and they think, okay, so I can make chicken parmesan, I could cook it in the oven, like grill it, whatever. But like if you have like like a good good selection of like other ingredients, like mushrooms and make and like wine and stuff, you could easily create, instead of like a basic chicken parmesan, a chicken marsala.
Or not even that,
Real
just like
nice.
going to the store looking for like certain ingredients and then realizing that like one or two are missing and knowing like, oh, okay, like they don't have, like, say you're trying to like make a cake, right? Is one of the only shortcuts I know. Like, say you're trying to like make a cake and you're going to the store and you're like, okay, got like some flour, some sugar. People are probably realizing how much I know or don't know about cakes. And you like, there's no eggs at the store. An interesting substitute is you can use half a banana for every egg, and it's very, very similar.
Yeah, because it's
banana-y taste.
yeah, because I actually like for the longest time have cooked cakes with like using bananas instead of eggs.
Cakes or like pancakes even made with bananas.
I'm trying to think like if there's any shortcuts that I know.
Both of which I learned in camping.
I remember there was
banana pudding cake.
there was a cookie recipe that I remember like doing, like I looked it up, and the person actually, they were like, hey, if you don't feel like using, I forget exactly what it was, like you can replace it with a spoonful of mayonnaise. And I'm like, huh. So I made like half a batch with like the normal recipe and then half a batch with the mayonnaise, and you could not taste the difference at all.
But like that's the kind of like cooking that I'd also want to learn, because it's like, oh, like what if I want to make pasta but I don't have like tomato sauce on me and I don't have like the means to make it, like what kind of sauce can I make like instead?
Yeah.
Just kind of like quick on your feet learning.
Yeah, so less like set recipes and more of just like resourcefulness of like, okay, I see I have this sauce, these vegetables, these are all the things that I could probably make with it.
Basically, how could I be perfect for going into like a Chopped competition winning?
Dude, I love Chopped.
Yeah.
Cause like, okay, for
That's
anyone,
some serious skill to be able to be like, okay, I have this really weird thing I've never cooked with. This is what I'm gonna do with it.
like I remember there was one episode where it was like, for the meal they had, it was like shrimp, rice pilaf, a giant bowl of carrots, and gummy bears, and like,
Boy,
I cannot imagine like what goes through like the contestants' heads. Like, do you think they're like kind of like coached or prepped on what they have ahead of time, or is it like literally the moment they see it they're like, okay?
I like to think that they're not like told about it at all, but like I don't know if that's just the benefit of the doubt I'm giving to like anything reality show kind of styled, where it's like, oh, they're going completely blind, but they're like warned ahead of time.
Well, see,
I
my
like to
thing.
think that people like genuinely not know an ingredient and have to like figure it out by like tasting it and hoping it's not poisonous.
Well, that was the episode that they had with the pufferfish, where it was like
Yeah.
if you prepare it wrong, literally the judges would get like violent diarrhea.
Yeah.
But the thing that like kind of makes me question whether or not it's 100% blind is Iron Chef America.
Yeah.
First things first. One of my favorite like cooking competition shows of all time. My favorite cooking show, period, will always be Good Eats, because Alton Brown is just a fantastic host. But with Iron Chef America, that whole competition for like the timer to like make all the dishes, that's only for one of each dish. Then they stop rolling the cameras, and they let the chefs take as much time as they need prepping all of the judge plates. Because I remember like watching that like whole process, like the behind the scenes, and like that reality was shattered for me. And Nate, thank you for coming by. Enjoy your lurk.
Enjoy your lunch.
God, I actually ate food before the podcast for once,
Wow.
so I'm not like immediately hungry, but I know the moment that we're done, I'm gonna like rush downstairs to make something.
Yeah.
Why do we always end up talking about food? Like,
Because we're foodies as well as filmies.
foodies and filmies. Oh my
Yeah.
god. But hey, Jake, you know what's
Yeah.
something cool that's happened recently?
I know plenty of cool things that have happened recently.
Well, okay. I don't know how familiar you are with the Paper Mario franchise, but recently a new installment of the Paper Mario franchise called the Origami King was announced. It's being released, I believe, July. And the trailer came out of nowhere. Nintendo just decided to release it on Twitter, and then they put it up on all other socials. And a lot of people are skeptical given the recent history of Paper Mario games, because a lot of people just want that basic kind of, well, I say basic in like a good sense, the basic kind of like RPG type structure that the first two games had. But with Nintendo wanting to make everything in-house, they tried to like always do a different spin on it in order to try to make the series fresh, while it's just alienating the core audience. So they had like the sticker gimmick and Sticker Star, where instead of this would probably piss you off because it pissed me off. You know how in like most RPGs you have like that command list where it's like, okay, attack, spells, items, that kind of thing?
Yeah.
Imagine if all of that was removed and every single attack, every single item, every single thing you can do in the game was one-time use only, and then you had to find another copy of it in the world. Including like final special attacks that could or could not work on the enemies that you're going after. You don't know until you use it. And then have a final boss where you're required to use every single special item in a very specific order, and if you do it once wrong, then bad. Yeah. See you, Nate. And also, Nate, I watched the trailer the day that it was posted. You sent it to me this morning. You were late to the game. But yeah, July 17th. That's going to be when Origami King's out. But anyways, so it was like a big mess. A lot of people were pissed because they were like, it looks like a legit RPG type thing, and then now you put in these gimmicks. And so Nintendo's like, okay, we're going to make another console one called Color Splash, where the gimmick is you have a paint mechanic, and depending on the amount of paint that you have, then you can like do certain attacks. It was essentially made a mana system for everything that you do. And while the mechanics were kind of garbage. The write-in and the actual like design of the game, like from a visual standpoint, was very nice. And this game seems to be taking a lot of inspiration from the visuals of Color Splash. But the main thing that everybody's uppity about is will it contain like the same kind of combat that they are used to from like the first two games. And it looks like it's on track for that because the partner system seems to be back. The turn-based combat, while it does introduce like a new system to build up bonus attack damage and defense and whatnot, it does seem like regular menus are back. Again, it's a little too early to tell because we only have 2 trailers to go off of at the moment. But it looks like it's going to come together to be a pretty good game. The thing that I'm like a little sad about though is a lot of people are kind of writing it off as like just another drop in the modern Mario RPG bucket and are planning to pass it up. I genuinely hope that this game does well.
Yeah.
Because like everybody keeps on kicking and screaming for a Thousand Year Door remake, which I understand why. It's a fantastic RPG. It's a really, really well done RPG. Even if it wasn't Mario related, it's just a good game in general. But you also need to understand that that's not going to happen if the series doesn't have interest and support. If it doesn't have like long-term support, Nintendo's not going to do anything about it. Like, the only reason that Metroid Prime 4 is in development is because Metroid 2 for the 3DS performed incredibly well. Because they flat out said, if this doesn't sell well, we're not touching the franchise anymore. Because they had Metroid Other M and Federation Force, which Federation Force wasn't necessarily a horrible game. It's just a lot of people were expecting it to be like a legit Metroid Prime game, not a spin-off. I personally still argue that the best Metroid game is the pinball one. But
I know you do.
Hmm?
I know you would be that kind of person.
Well, okay, here, I'll put it this way. I played through, like, the entire trilogy, like, late high school. I played Prime, like, the Prime trilogy, and I thought they were fantastic. I thought all the games were great. I actually really liked the incorporation of... Because I played it off the Wii. And I like the incorporation of motion control and the way that the pointer worked. It actually felt right for, like, the way the game played, where your Wiimote is the arm cannon, and if you want to look around, you kind of like point the cannon forward, so you're always like ready to attack whatever's in front of you. And the lock-on system was nice. The boss fights were cool. Now I really want to play that game again. I have it down in my cellar, but I think the disc is scratched beyond repair, unfortunately. But I just remember playing the Metroid pinball game for my DS, like a crazy amount, because my dad bought it for me from from Toys R Us, and it came with the Rumble pack for the DS, where like only a handful of games supported it, and it would go in the GBA slot, and it was just a fun game. We got that and Big Brain Academy.
Ooh. Big Brain.
Dude, that game was so much fun.
I don't think I played that game.
It was super simple. It was just like a bunch of like little puzzle mini games, and you're trying to complete them fast and everything. And they had this thing where it was like your brain age, and it's supposed to be like a gauge of like how like it would improve like your reflexes and whatever. Like, well, that's what the game toted. And so they had this mechanic called the brain age, where you would do these quizzes, and you can do one a day, and you can test your brain age, and I believe the max was 500, and it got to a point where I could get 500 confidently every single time. The multiplayer was fun too, because it was very fast paced. Yeah, that's the thing though, is like a lot of DS quote unquote budget titles were actually really really solid,
Hmm.
but a lot of people would kind of turn away from them because it doesn't say, you know, Mario or Zelda or whatever. But like, do you remember a Flash game called N? It was a platformer where you played as this ninja, collect gold to keep your timer going, and you just try to get to the exit of each level.
I do not.
Oh man, it was so fun. But I learned they made like a DS and a Wii version of it, and I went to Walmart when I was little, and it was $5. And I like immediately picked it up, and I played through the entire game because it had all the levels from the computer game. It had a bunch of new ones with the new mechanics. It had a level builder that was incredibly robust. And I just I adored it. I adored that game. And I would love to actually go and get those games back because unfortunately, you know, all the games that I had before got lost. I don't know, because I've been in the mood for like going back and reliving like some childhood games, like with the new perspective that I have and like the more cynical kind of view that I have of games.
Hmm.
Because like I feel like it's easy when you're a kid to be impressed by a game because, you know, you just sit down and it's like, whoa, I can run around and hit things, or I'm racing, this is awesome, like that kind of thing.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like, are there any games in particular that like you played when you were little that you'd like to go back to?
I mean, like, I'd want to, like, maybe try emulating something like Mario 64. Because, like, I've played Sonic Adventures 2, which I remember being a big part of my childhood, and I hated it. Because the controls are just so, like, janky by today's standards, and just, like, not optimized. I mean, World of Warcraft was a big game from my childhood and recent history, so it's not like I know that pretty like consistently. It's not like I'd be going back to it from my childhood. I would just be going back to it from like a couple months ago at this point. Which I think goes to show like how good of a game it was for like the longest time. But yeah, like a lot of games from my childhood, just like for some reason I like don't remember a lot of them, and I don't know why. Like I remember a lot of like the Nintendo titles that like all of the people remember. Like I played Luigi's Mansion and Mario Strikers and Mario and Sonic at the Olympic Games. Oh god, which one was it? Twilight Princess.
I never got to play Twilight Princess.
Really?
That was one of the few Zelda games that like I've seen it a lot. I've heard good things. I just haven't had the time to sit down and play it because I
remember it very much either like you love it or you hate it, and like there isn't really an in between.
Because I played Wind Waker when that was ported to Wii U. I know Twilight Princess was ported as well, but I didn't pick that one out.
Yeah, or like playing Wind Waker again is like something I'd be interested in.
Yeah, like
Assassin's Creed Black Flag, you basically play Wind Waker.
Yeah. I don't know. I thought Wind Waker was solid. I know when it got released, a lot of people were like making fun of it because of cel shaded graphics.
I like the cel shaded graphics.
Yeah, like I thought it was adorable.
If people hated cel shaded graphics, then Borderlands would be out of business.
Well, yeah, because they originally planned for it to be like really dark and futuristic and gritty. And just like, huh. But
Huh.
Ah. Well, I'm sorry.
I,
I'm sorry.
sorry, I just love the idea that they're in the boardroom. And they're like, okay, so I think from like a design standpoint, we should go with something a bit darker and grittier, so that way it has a bit of a dark futuristic cynicism to them. And someone's like, you know what? You're right, sir.
You mentioned though with Mario 64, did you see that somebody made a Super Mario 64 PC port that has full 4K support?
Did I? I'm pretty sure I told you about that. I think I mentioned that to you at some point.
I don't remember then, but like I
remember because I explained it to someone who might not have been you, but I'm going to pretend it was. And I remember not really knowing what makes it different from like getting it off of like what is it called? Dolphin?
It's
like the cool emulator.
The best
people go.
Yeah. The best way that I've heard it described is that it's smoother than any emulator could ever recreate because it's working directly off your computer, not based on like a virtual box.
Yeah, an emulator tries to like replicate the system that you're emulating, whereas this is just like, yeah, it works off the PC. Just
yeah, it's full OpenGL support.
Yeah.
And I
do you know like hit with like a lawsuit or something?
Yeah.
Feel like I heard like, oh, they're not gonna let that slide.
Yeah, it was yeah, legal representatives have begun targeting the sites hosting the compiled version of Mario 64 PC, as well as one video showing gameplay. And because it was like, you know, used their a copy of the game, and the whole reason that this came about was because there was a huge leak of legacy console data from Nintendo that included the source code for Nintendo 64, GameCube, and Wii. And all of that data like gave people full free reign to essentially code and create their own like systems from the bottom up. But like it's like here's how I feel, okay? Like I understand, you know, protecting your property, protecting license, whatever. Nintendo 64, like the last time that it was actively having like, you know, new first party support, that was back in like 2004, right? Because around 2004, that was when the GameCube was released. And like that's fine and all of like, you know, wanting to, you know, protect your console, but it's also like a lot of people who can afford to find like good working condition 64s, they already have them. And I feel like also it was a bit of an inevitability for people to figure out how it ticked.
Yeah, it's not like being an N64 game, it's not going to be like as intensive to figure out and emulate as like a modern PlayStation 4 game. Like it's just going to be like something simpler that people can like find a way to emulate. I mean, like people have made like World of Warcraft servers like from scratch basically. And that's like, I would say it's a far more like complex game to try and like emulate and run on like a server than copying Mario 64.
Oh yeah, definitely. Like it it's like such a non-intensive game. Like to heck, the DS was able to run a port of it and it had more content.
Yeah. Like the computing power has gone so far that like it's not going to be hard.
Yeah, like I mean that's like we've talked about like the subreddit It Runs Doom before, where it was like
yeah,
like all the different like pieces of technology that can run Doom, and it's wild to me that Nintendo hasn't, like, I understand they're mainly console, like that's always going to be their thing, consoles. But I mean, they've stretched into the mobile market. Who's to say that maybe a PC port of a game that they have, like, could exist, not like a third party one, but like a first party at some point in the future.
Did somebody say mobile market?
Yeah.
Somebody say Gwent?
Oh, we know what we're talking about for the last 15 minutes.
We can just add that to the counter and not talk about it.
No. Go for it.
No, you specifically said you didn't want to
Jake,
talk about
Jake,
Gwent.
Jake, 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 Jake. I'm getting the tally up. Give me a minute. Okay, you can start talking. Do it.
So, I found out recently, somehow only recently, that Gwent was on Android. Now, I knew for the longest time it was on, like the Apple store, like their app store. It was up there for a while. It's pretty much always been like a PC thing. But for some reason, Android was like taking a little bit longer.
There's a tally for you right next to you.
And then, like, just the other day, I realized that they had added Gwent to Android back in like March. And I feel like a fake fan for not realizing that sooner. So I've been getting back into that for a little bit, and it is a lot more different than even I remember it being compared to The Witcher 3 Gwent. Like, it's basically a completely different game.
Because they got rid of one of the lanes, right?
They got rid of one of the lanes. Cards are not lane specific. Most cards have some kind of ability that, like, they can use. There's a lot more different kinds of functionality. All of the different, like, deck builds, like the different deck possibilities of, like, there's a Northern Realms deck, and there's a Nilfgaard deck, and a Scoia'tael deck, and all of those kinds of decks. Like, they all have very different mechanics to them compared to The Witcher 3, both in terms of, like, direct comparison, but also, like, what they do. Like, how would I even... I honestly don't even know how to compare it. Like, in The Witcher 3, there's a deck called the Skellige deck that's very optimized for having, like, either cards that are the same type that buff each other when they're played, like, next to each other, or by sending different cards into a bloodlust that transforms them and makes them more powerful. But in the standalone Gwent game, the Skellige deck does it completely differently, and most of the power-ups that a card, and like most of the abilities that cards have, are based on how many damaged cards are on the enemy side. And so it incentivizes you damaging the enemy, but not outright killing the cards, because it's the damaged cards that actually give you a buff. So it'll be like, if there's 2 damaged enemy cards, like, you know, this card with 5 points will give itself 3 additional points of, like, counting for your side. And, like, it's fun, but it's a completely different game. It's like comparing, like, Texas Hold'em to Blackjack. It's just such a different card game that it's not even the same. As much as I love both of them still.
But it's still enjoyable, right?
Oh, it's very enjoyable. Like, it's basically going to be the only mobile game that I play. Like, that and, like, I don't know, like, Minesweeper maybe. Because, like, it's a pretty big game. I think it's like I think it might be, like, at least a whole gigabyte. But, like, it's still like a really good game.
Mm.
And like I don't really need anything else. Because I'm a CDPR fanboy. Give me money, I will sponsor Cyberpunk.
Cyberpunk.
Dude, it's coming.
Dude, when Cyberpunk comes out, I'm ready not to hear from you for a week.
Cyberpunk will be the first time I spend money on a game in like literally months, maybe even a year at this point. I wouldn't be surprised.
Hey, they've talked about multiplayer, right? In it?
I honestly don't even remember.
Because if there is multiplayer,
I've been hearing so many things about it that like I've kind of lost track. Like it's been old news that in Cyberpunk there's a difference between your gender and your sex.
Yeah.
And your voice independent of the body type that you're using.
Yeah, which I've seen games do that before, like Saints Row, but I think that's cool that they're implementing that.
And as an added bonus, there's a number of different like romanceable characters, and depending on your sex and gender, certain romance options will be available and others will not be, according to the preferences of those characters. So they're actually making that into like part of the gameplay, as well as just like added customization.
Which I think is lovely.
Let's see. Like all of the from what I've heard, a lot of the buildings are going to be like interactable in the sense of like they're not just going to be there for window dressing. You can like actually go into like a lot of the buildings, and like the map overall, it's going to be smaller than something like The Witcher 3, for instance, that has like a huge map that you can roam through. But like there's going to be less open space and more like interactable like city space.
It's
yeah.
I just can't wait for like once I get like, you know, the whole computer build and everything actually working, I can't wait to just open the game and just walk around the city. Like not even like I'm looking forward to missions and everything, but I just want to explore.
I can't wait to get into the city and have like 5 frames per second and then cry over not having a good enough PC.
Well, you're playing a new build, aren't you?
I am, but that's going to be like long term because for those who don't know, because I don't know if I've actually mentioned it on the podcast, I've been thinking of getting a new PC because mine's like pretty decent for a lot of like current-ish games, and there hasn't been a game I can't run. Some of them I can't run like, you know, ultra high graphics at like a smooth 60 frames, but like I can play any game competently for like a fair amount of time at like fair graphics. But I do want to build a new PC that can handle like future games a bit better as well as just like render things a little bit faster as like an editor for like a number of projects. And with that being a thing I want to go into, like one of the things I want to get long term is I don't know how much people actually like know about these existing, but you can get like hard drive like dock stations where you can just plug in a bunch of hard drives and like have them all accessible from the same place, and you can like interchange hard drives that you can then like use, and that's like really nice if I want to like have a project across like 5 different hard drives with all of the footage there and all the different edits, and I'm like, oh, I'm gonna work on this project instead, and I can just swap out all the external hard drives and just work on that project in this like docking station. But like, yeah, I also want just like a more powerful computer, and I'm the kind of person that really likes the aesthetic of a desktop computer. A battle station, if you will.
Yeah, you were like, I want a battle station, like a gamer paradise.
Yeah, which like sounds weird to say, but it's I like to think it's more understandable to think of it as like a hobby, building PCs, and like having something that like looks nice as well as like functions well.
Hmm.
Like I won't have like rainbow LEDs that like create their own rave with those like, you know, LED triangle thingies that you hang up on the wall everywhere with like LED strips on like the desk everywhere. Like nothing incredibly fancy, just like, oh, you know, have like a few fans with like some red lights on them. Maybe some like, maybe splurge a little bit and get some, you know, fancy memory stickies with lights on them. Like, just kind of that stuff. And I have a build that I've been putting together in PC Part Picker, which I think I told you about when you were looking at a PC, because it's a website that's really good at like finding parts that work with each other and not having to worry about like, oh, is this graphics card going to fit into this motherboard, or is this motherboard going to like be compatible inside of this case? And like the build that I had like just for the computer was like a decent build for like $1,500 with like a modern graphics card and like a very good processor and stuff like that, and like splurging on like 64 gigabytes of memory and LEDs kind of unnecessarily placed. like I want to get into liquid cooling because I just love the idea of that and the aesthetic of it, but it's also liquid in an electric device.
Just do what Ryan did for years and have your computer next to your sink.
I'm just going to submerge my PC into a bathtub full of vodka and cool it through that. Just put it all in a plastic bag and submerge it in a big cold bath of vodka. The Slavic style, if you will.
I think liquid cooling, like, I understand a lot of people being into it, but it's also just like I understand it's a quiet thing, it's like a noise thing, but also, yeah, like you said, water, electronics.
Honestly, it's not even quieter, because you still have fans that will blow the heat, like, out of the PC, but then you also have the pump that's pumping the water, and that can also be loud. So it's not even really all that much quieter than, like, getting a quiet fan in your PC. And a lot of the times I find when people have like water cooling like everywhere and it's like it's a series of tubes, like I'm not a huge fan of that, but like I'm good with like a liquid cooling like CPU cooler where like it's just kind of like a little logo of like, you know, the company on like the CPU, and then it's got like tubes going up to the top of the PC case, and, you know, blowing the hot air out and stuff like that. Like that, I'm fine with.
Honestly, yeah, my definition of liquid cooling is, you know, those like electric fans that have spray bottles attached to them.
Yeah.
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 I'll just spray the computer.
Just gonna, you know, spritz it down.
Yeah, spritz it down. And he's be like,
yeah.
He's be like, oops, it looks like my computer thirsty. And I just pour like a glass of orange juice on it.
It can't handle water. It can't handle my epicness. It can't handle a little spritz in the sun.
Gosh. Okay, but
yeah.
I was gonna say, seriously though, those little spray bottle fan things were like a lifesaver when I was little.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
Like you'd be running around outside, it's like 97, 98 or something like that, like crazy hot. Because sometimes the summers here can get like stupid, like ridiculously hot.
Yeah, I never had one of those. I was just stuck with like a battery powered like handheld fan it like just kind of blew hot air over you.
Oh, dude, I had one of those too, but like those little spray, they have it now where you can literally just get like the screw-on cap, so you could just take a water bottle or like a reusable one and just screw it on and use it.
Yeah.
And it's so fucking nice, cause it's just like you, with like, you know, the world becoming warmer and everything right now with like, you know, seasons and global warming and whatnot. A little spritz bottle makes me feel safe. Anytime I start panicking about the impending doom of the human race, I just go.
I worry about the heat death of the universe when you can cool off.
Yeah, everyone just needs to buy a spritz bottle and aim it towards the sun, and we will save ourselves.
Actually, that would make it worse.
Yeah.
Because you would be adding mass to the sun, and that just more nuclear fusion, and that would just be bad. Plus, like, have you ever put like water on like a hot skillet?
Yes.
I wonder what the sun will do to it.
That'd be fucking hilarious. Just imagine, just there's just a little bit of water, it's like.
Just a nuclear explosion on the sun because of a little spritzy from a bottle.
Yeah, you know, perfectly fine. Dude.
Yeah, dude.
I was gonna say, dude, the fact that like us as a species, as a people, like have evaded death from the universe so many times, like it's gonna bite us in the ass soon, right?
I mean, well,
we have almost asteroids like hit us almost every year. We have like essentially like if there's a freaking what is it, supernova, we get wiped out. That's it. It's done. No time to react.
Or I mean, another great thing is have you heard of, I think if I'm getting my terms correct, have you heard of a quasar?
Yes I have.
Where when the sun collapses, it shoots out beams of just pure like energy, basically.
Yep.
In like two polar directions.
Mm-hmm.
One of those could hit us, and we literally would not be able to react fast enough to deal with it, because it literally travels at the speed of light, and so it would just hit us and we'd be gone.
Yep.
And those fuckers are like huge, so like it would just take out like an entire planet if they got in the way. But the beauty of 3D space, and this is also kind of goes for like asteroids that like almost hit us and then don't, like space is so huge and like big that like everything is very empty. Like, have you heard of the fact that like you could fit every single planet in the solar system between the Earth and the Moon?
Yeah.
It's
wild.
Like there's so much space out in space. It's very conveniently.
It's yeah. I was gonna say it lives up to the title.
So yeah, like the reason why they miss is because pretty easy to miss. And then there's the other fun fact of how you know, like the Andromeda galaxy.
Yeah.
It's gonna be like combining with the Milky Way soon.
Yeah,
and because of like how much space there is between like all the planets and stars and like different solar systems, probably nothing's going to like crash. They're just gonna like mix until they merge. Yeah.
Which is like, God, imagine what the sky would look like with like literally just having a neighboring galaxy just there.
Yeah,
it's so pretty.
I think you can technically see it like today.
It's very faint.
You have very faint because there's too much like light pollution that's like blocking out all of the stars and stuff.
Yeah.
But
I
dude,
mean,
you know what else is crazy?
Yeah.
There's a ton of like empty space between planets. There's a ton of empty space between atoms.
Well, yeah. So it's like
the space between like an electron to the nucleus is comparable to like a planet to its moon. And then you think like we still think of things as being like very dense, even though most things are like empty space technically.
Yeah. One thing that I thought was like a fun little theory. It's not like it definitely doesn't hold any kind of like legitimacy, but like you see how like similar atoms on like a molecular level like works the way that the universe does. I know. I remember when I was little, like, and this was just me, like being a dumb little kid, because I had those like carpets where it had like the cars and the houses on it like that.
Oh yeah.
I was like, what if we're just this carpet there's like these giants that live like with this carpet in their house, and one of them steps on us and we die. Because in my head I was like, wow, trees kind of look like the little like cloth bits on the carpet, like the little nubs.
Mm-hmm.
And so like that got me thinking about where it's like, what if it was like, I was just like, man, wouldn't it be cool if we were like some universe's atom?
Like, the thing is, we kind of could be. Oh man, I don't even know how my mind got there, but you reminded me of a very, I don't even know what to call it, like, dreary, sounds like a right word, fact about the universe, where, have you heard of the term of a false vacuum?
Yes.
And how, like, we live in a false vacuum?
Mm-hmm.
That's, like, such a freaky concept. That, like, we live in a reality that, like, isn't actually stable. Or, like, it's stable, but it's not, like, done.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah.
Like, technically, like, a false vacuum could collapse in on itself, become a true vacuum, and just everything would be, like, done and, like, gone. But, like, yeah.
Dude, that's the thing, is that, like, space is so fucking cool, but also, like, like, I love how it's, like, I can talk about existential things like yours, oh, yeah, universe, something happens, we're all dead, that's it, and that's fine. But then the moment that we talk about, like, the meaning of life and things like that, I completely clam up. I'm like, let's move on.
It's just like, oh yeah, life could be extinguished. Yeah, that's just a fact. But you could die too. Stop it.
Yeah, no. Unless I'm taking all you fucks with me, I don't feel comfortable.
Yeah, that's cool. It's like, what if it's your death? No.
Yeah, no, it's like, no. And it's like, what do you mean? It's like, I'm gonna be around to see the death of the universe.
Yeah, I'm gonna be there with a bucket of popcorn.
Yeah. Honestly, like, I remember when I was younger, like, people would, like, say where it's like, man, this won't happen for millions of years. And it's like, but I want to see it. So, like...
Yeah. Like, the fact that, like, Mount Rushmore is eventually gonna be, like, worn down into just, like, a regular hill.
Yeah.
Or, like, Niagara Falls is gonna run out of water.
Yeah, and it's just like, man, part of me wants to, like, you see the technology of stuff where they're, like, trying to learn how to upload the human consciousness, like, to a machine.
Oh, yeah.
And, like, I mean, hell, there's that whole series that's based off of, like, that concept upload.
Yeah.
Like, when that eventually comes around, I'm gonna be honest, I don't think I would want that.
Really?
Yeah. Because I, like... While it sucks and it's scary to have, like, the idea of, like, not being here anymore or whatever, or not seeing people and stuff like that, it's also, like, I don't know. It's a weird thing. Like, I'm scared about, like, inevitable demise and whatever. Like, you can't change fate, etc. And so because of that, I was like, it would be weird of me, or for me, to feel like, where it's like, okay, I get to be here as long as, this technology and everything exists. And that's, like, kind of freaky to me.
Dude, I totally upload myself.
I mean, I love the idea of being a cyborg, but,
Like, I think it goes into... it's a little late in the episode to go into this kind of philosophy, but like, there's a lot of people who would say that they wouldn't want to live forever because there's like a whole school of thought around how like we derive meaning in what we do because we don't have an eternity to do stuff. And so like being able to live forever, like you would just get lazy and be like, oh, I'll do that later. It's like that like rush of like, well, we don't have forever, like let's make it count, that like gives us meaning. But like there's just so much stuff like I'd want to do